Hi, I'm Jim Riley. Welcome to Hometown Spotlight. Today we're in Hudson on Warren Street at the beautiful, wonderful Hudson Hall. This is what it used to look like. Now let's take a look. What a marvelous, marvelous facility. This is the most beautiful space that you'll find anywhere in our region. You can be justifiably proud of what this brings to the community, not only in Hudson, but in our entire region. Hudson Hall, what a fabulous place to visit. You're gonna love this one. Again, Jim Riley, this is Hometown Spotlight. I'm very excited today because we're at Hudson Hall, and we're going to get some history now. This is Gary Shiro. Give us your title.
I'm the executive director.
You know, I have to say, he looks like an executive director. But the thing is, you do all the worrying, but you still do it with a smile. I like that, Gary. That's important.
Well, that's critical. You have to get through all the worrying with a smile.
Well, you know, the thing is,
we're all smiles now, though.
Well, everything's up and running, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff you've been doing. But what I'd like to know from you, and I've really kind of appreciated your joy in this whole project. It's so impressive. Give us a little history of how you got to this point.
Well, the building was built in 1855 as the City Hall for Hudson. It was the first purpose-built City Hall for Hudson, and it was a very typical mid-19th century town hall, which is that the first floor had all these municipal offices, the police station was there, the Department of Public Works, the tax assessor, the library, and then up on the second floor was this wonderful performance hall that could be used for a little bit of everything.
Right.
Concerts, lectures, readings, community gatherings, basketball games, poultry shows, boxing matches, you name it, it happened in this space.
Now, I saw a piece downstairs where you've had legendary people actually do talks here. Tell us a little bit about that.
A number of really famous people have been on this stage. Susan B. Anthony stood here twice and gave lectures, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Teddy Roosevelt, and right now we're actually digging into the history. It's possible, it seems likely that FDR started his political career from this stage, which is where he announced his candidacy for state senate. So we're working with the FDR library right now to track that down.
Right, and just get it documented. But that's something that's really exciting. So the history really is, this is what it was built for, this is what you're doing. Now tell us about what it took to do that renovation, because we opened with that shot of what just this room alone looked like, and then what it became. Tell us about that.
Well, in 1962, City Hall moved up the street and abandoned the building. It was, there was a little bit of use after that, but pretty much from 1962 on, it was abandoned. And in the early 90s, a group of local citizens banded together and formed a nonprofit to buy the building and start the restoration process.
So they had the vision and said, let's reclaim this, let's do something here.
They did, and that was a time when, this entire block was abandoned.
Yeah.
And most people said it was crazy to invest in anything below 5th Street in Hudson because no one was ever going to come down to that part of town.
Right.
Because it looked so dire and so desperate. But a number of volunteers thought we could do something better with this building and honor the history of it and make sure that we could carry that forward. So they started the hard work of rehabilitation, and in 1998 opened the first restored room down on the first floor, what we call the West Room, and started our programming. And shortly after that, I came on board as the first executive director. And we started having readings and concerts and exhibitions, and then eventually after school programs and workshops, and it all really built from that one room. But even just from opening that one room, the block started to transform.
Yeah.
Within a couple of years, not surprisingly, the first restaurants started opening close to the building.
Right.
And you can see today a really symbiotic relationship between those businesses and this anchor on the block.
You know, it's funny you said it, because as you were speaking, I was thinking of the term of anchor, because it really kind of rebuilt all of Warren Street. I mean, certainly this section of it, but I think it really enlivened and created excitement, because if you go to the New York Times, what you read about in our area, I'm a Greene County guy across the river, but you read all about Hudson all about Warren Street and the restaurants. They're not only to die for, but people come here specifically for that. But the anchor started here.
Well, it's what has been shown in communities all across America now, and fortunately, people are beginning to recognize it, that when you invest in the arts, it has all these other benefits for your community. It gives people safer places to live, it brings tourism, it gives restaurants customers. There's just a ripple effect from investment in the arts, and that's what has really been shown with this project, that not only has this block transformed, but through big events like Winter Walk, which we produce.
That is a big one. Oh, you produced that?
Yeah, we produced that whole event.
Because that is a marvelous event up and down Warren Street. It just brings the whole community to life.
It really does. Last year was the 20th anniversary.
That long already.
Yeah. And the Opera House has been producing that event from the beginning. And it used to be that we didn't even have to close the streets, because for the first year or so, there was not that much traffic. But as word has gotten out about the event and it's grown and grown, now we close all of Warren Street and it's filled with pedestrians. We think there's around 20,000 people here that night.
It has to be.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm a big fan of New York City. I love everything that's available down there. And I think the Opera House and also what's transformed in the community has brought a great deal of those people into our community, which enriches us all.
Well, what I love about the history of this building is that, you know, even in the 19th century, it was playing this role of bringing opportunities for the local citizens. They didn't have to travel to go see these high caliber performances or interesting lecturers or hear these wonderful ideas. This building was a place where that could happen, where people could come and have these deep encounters with ideas and with culture and with art and creativity. And we've had that same role since we started operating, certainly since we opened our doors in 1998. And I love that we can bring these artists here that people would have to travel to go see, or wouldn't have an opportunity if we hadn't done it.
And not everybody has the ability to go. Either they're just not comfortable with traveling the city. I mean, New York City is a big, exciting, interesting, and sometimes scary kind of place if you're a small town person. And by doing this, you can bring what they have in New York, bring it up here, and we get to share in it.
Yeah, and just this past Saturday night, we had Christopher O'Reilly, the marvelous pianist and known to many people as the host of From the Top, that terrific long-running NPR show that has millions of followers, I think. He was just here on Saturday playing a concert with Matt Heimovitz, the tremendously talented cellist, and they did a wonderful program. And the audience was just thrilled to see artists of that caliber here in Hudson on this stage. It was really a special treat.
It's amazing. Now, don't think me crass, but we're going to talk about some of the nuts and bolts now.
Let's do it.
I'm still thrilled. We're sitting in front of a beautiful Baldwin concert grand piano. You got to be very proud of that.
Well, this piano was donated to us by the Pierce family, and the piano, before the Pierces had it, once spent a year on the stage at Carnegie Hall, but they were moving and wanted, it's a concert grand, it's a 9-foot grand, so not really appropriate for most homes. And
That's true.
They wanted to find a place for it to go, and because their son, Adam Pierce, is here in town, and he knew about our project, he asked us if this would be a good fit, and we were thrilled, because it meant that, as I said earlier, that it frees up funds so that we can do more restoration work, since we didn't have to buy the piano.
I was going to say, you'd have to do it. You'd have to make that investment.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed with, and I told you, not to be too straightforward, but this is a beautiful, beautiful facility. So you spared no expense in getting everything just right. Tell us about the control center up there and what you did with that.
Well, we actually spared a lot of expenses, and we could have gone, but it does, I agree with you, it does look incredibly beautiful, and we're thrilled with the results, but we were very frugal in many, many ways.
You have to be.
Yeah.
With all the donations, and you have to really be a good steward of those funds that you bring in.
And for instance, we still could use more technical equipment, even though we needed to make sure that the project included enough equipment that we could get up and running. There's a whole nother package of equipment that we would like to be able to buy in the future as the capital funds continue to make that a possibility. There are some dressing rooms that aren't completed yet. We just have the stage level dressing rooms. There's upper dressing rooms that we very much could use and would like to bring online. The mezzanine behind us is about 80% done, but not 100% done, and there's no seats up there at the moment.
Right.
There's some basement.
But there will be.
There will be.
There will
and there's
be,
some basement support spaces that also were not a part of this project, but we'd like to complete those as soon as possible.
Right. I have to tell you, it's just uplifting to be here. No wonder when you can work at a place like this and you can feel joyous each and every day when you're doing this work. It's kind of good, isn't it?
Well, it's especially exciting for all of us now to see it complete, for people that have been associated with the project for a long time. And there are many community supporters that have stuck with us through thick and thin to finally see this space restored and as beautiful as we always knew it was and could be. And honestly, a little bit even beyond what we thought. It's even better than most of us thought it would be. It's just so wonderful to see it this way.
It's extraordinary. Now, we should do this, if you don't mind. I'm looking out at the folks at home now. How can they support you? How can they help you?
Well, it's been a critical part of this project all along, has been the support of the community. So there are friends of Hudson Hall, and people can join online, and some of those funds help contribute to the ongoing restoration work in addition to the ongoing programs. You know, so much of what we do in our programming is free to the community. We've got after-school programs, and all of our exhibitions are free, and most of the lectures are free. There are family concerts that are free. About 70% of our programming is at no cost to the community. So in order to make that possible, we need people to join us as partners and to join our friends. And those funds help this activity continue. And then people have also been generous about supporting the capital project so that we could get to this point. And as I said, we have a little bit further to go and more to do so we can continue serving the community. And we welcome people's participation both financially and also volunteer help.
Volunteer help is also very, very important. So if you look at the camera, give them a phone number, address, website, give them that stuff.
518-822-1438 is the main number here, and the website is www.hudsonhall.org. And that will give you all the information about upcoming programs, how you can help, how you can be involved. There are also special events that we host that help bring some support to the project. So there's a lot of ways for people to really interact with the project, but mostly just come visit. And we offer tours now to the public during the week, every day at 1 and at 4, and then on weekends at 11:30 and 5.
You know, I think it's important for people to know this is their place. They belong here. This is here for them.
That's right, and that's what really has been our promise all along, is that we were really just the stewards of this project to return this building to community use. And nothing makes us happier than when we see just you know, all the members of the community coming to events here and feeling at home in the building. And we're delighted to have diverse audiences that reflect Hudson and the surrounding community, as well as visitors from far away. That increasingly we're finding that we're drawing folks from further away as
it's a regional. You're making a regional impact. There's absolutely no question about that. Gary Shiro, Executive Director, thank you so much for inviting us today. We've been standing in line for a long time. We've been trying to get here, but you've been awfully busy getting this project done.
Well, it was a year of construction, and amazingly just a year of construction. If you look at that before picture, that was only 1 year ago.
That's hard to believe. That's really hard to believe.
Yeah, we were very lucky, and our contractor, Consigli Construction New York, did a fantastic job and finished it ahead of schedule, which you never hear of.
Never hear of that.
And did, as you can see, a really beautiful job, and were a terrific partner to us all along.
Great. Congratulations. We're going to be right back there for a few messages.
Your home is unique. Your family is unique. Your internet needs are unique too. Try Mid-Hudson Cable's new, faster internet speeds. So, no matter how many devices you have, your Wi-Fi always runs at max speed.
Welcome back again. Jim Riley, this is Hometown Spotlight, and we're at Hudson Hall. I had to look at my producer. I was here. Hudson Hall. And I have with me now a very special guest. This is Tambra Dillon, Tammy, and you're executive director,
co-director.
Co-director. Thank you for spending time with us. You know, we appreciate that very much. What are you going to share with us today?
Well, I understand that my job is to talk a little bit about what's coming up.
Yeah, I think so, because with Gary, we covered history. We kind of brought people to here, and then we thought if you could tell us what's coming down the road, that'd be very good.
That'd be great. You know, it's we're just so excited to have reopened the theater for the first time in 55 years.
Remind them what you just did.
We reopened, and well, no, first we restored, and then we reopened the Performance Hall for the first time in 55 years and returned it to community use. So
wonderful.
And it all happened really quickly and a little bit ahead of schedule. So we're
that's nice.
Getting our feet wet and running to catch up. But we just finished an amazing season with Classics on Hudson, which under the artistic direction of Eugenia Zuckerman, and it was the first time we really saw the hall in action, and she programmed a lineup of really cutting-edge musicians, first class. They're breaking boundaries in classical music, and it was great to hear. The acoustics in the room was amazing to see full houses. We opened with Brooklyn Rider, which is a really hip Brooklyn based, obviously, string quartet that is rarely in Brooklyn because they're traveling the world so much. The violinist Tim Fain with a young pianist Roman Rabinovich, and that was really special. I mean, Tim is really, I think, a virtuoso, and they had never performed before together, but they are now, I understand, going to perform frequently. It's
kind of interesting that it kicked off here.
It did, and it's amazing. And then we just concluded with Christopher O'Reilly from NPR's From the Top with the cellist Matt Haymovich. But like Tim Fain, the interest in the artists from everywhere, locally, regionally, nationally. Tim flew in from San Francisco, got the red eye, rented a car in New York, and drove up here for the concert. Had to be in New York the next day for another concert and flew back to Montana. And it was just amazing that he came all the way to Hudson.
Whirlwind.
Yeah. No, but the centerpiece of the trip was coming to Hudson for the reopening of the Performance Hall. So
wonderful.
And next up I guess the next major event is a local choreographer. His name is Adam Weinert, and he represents kind of this new generation of artists moving to Hudson, and we are presenting a piece that he developed here in the unrestored Performance Hall back in 2014. It's called Monument, and it's a contemporary take on the historical legacy of Ted Shawn, the co-founder of Jacob's Pillow. So the piece premiered at Jacob's Pillow last summer, and because we couldn't present it here. So Adam is restaging it here this summer in July. It features original music that was commissioned just for the piece and created here in Hudson Hall. And the composer, again, is flying in from LA to be here for the opening performances. And it's kind of special to see it, you can go to his website, but he shows the making of the work in this hall, and it's a fantastic piece, and we can't wait to have it here.
Well, I like the whole idea. Jacob's Pillow, of course, for this region, is the place you go for these kind of experiences, and to know that it's attached to here is really kind of special.
It is, and to kind of bring it home. And and as well, I think we're just so fortunate to be in the middle of reopening this Performance Hall when the art scene is flourishing, not just in Hudson.
It is flourishing, yes.
But what's happening across the river in Catskill with Lumberyard, and we'll be working with them to present events while they're under construction. And
I heard that, and again, I live in Catskill, so I'm very, very interested in following what's going on with Lumberyard. And when they mentioned that, I was awfully excited about that, because I told you my background was at Columbia Green Community College, so I really was very interested in both the Columbia and Greene County communities. But that's something that Hudson Hall does. It brings us all together, doesn't it?
It does, and I think that historically, and that's a role that we, see ourselves continuing to play as being, and I think we're interested in the idea of this space was really the old town hall.
Yeah.
Everything
People
happened
meet,
here.
Everything happened here. Yeah.
And what does that mean today? And especially as New York becomes more expensive and is pricing out so many artists, we're finding that artists are moving here.
Right.
There's a connectivity to the Berkshires, to Massamoka.
Yeah, it's this whole region. And we talked about Hudson Hall being the anchor for this area of Hudson, particularly Warren Street, but I think it's really kind of taking hold for the region as well.
I think Hudson in general is.
Yeah.
And I think also, together Columbia and Greene County are really becoming kind of the connective hub from the Mid-Hudson up through the greater capital region.
Absolutely.
And over to the Berkshires. So it's exciting. I mean, we're really excited.
Yeah.
And dance is such an urban art form, and it's really interesting that Lumberyard is opening across the rivers. Stephen Petronio has bought a place across the river. And Adam Weiner, many dancers that he works with are either relocating to Hudson or basing themselves in Hudson. Jonah Beaucaire, another young dancer who was, kind of a star of the Merce Cunningham Dance Company, is also bought a building in Hudson. So it's exciting.
No, it really is. And I like the whole idea, because I told you I'm a big fan of New York City. I get down a lot, but I'm also local. And I like the idea that we're actually bringing the city up for us as well, because we become enriched by it. As more people move in, as more things take place here at Hudson Hall, we're all enriched by that, and we don't have to travel all the way to the city. We don't have to worry about the expenses and the travel and the traffic. You bring them here and they can experience it.
And it's easy to get them here.
Yeah.
A lot of the artists just come straight up on the train.
Just jump up on the train, get off in Hudson.
They do,
you can't ask for anything better than that. You can off train station. You can walk to Hudson Hall from the train station.
They do.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful.
And then Adam's husband is another young artist that we're working with. His name is R.B. Schlatter, and he is a young opera director who is known for kind of stripping down opera to its bare essentials, staying true to the music and the libretto. And
that you have to do. See, I can go with any kind of interpretation as long as you stay true to the libretto and the music. Yeah.
And he grew up at Glimmerglass.
Right.
And
another one of my favorite haunts.
Yeah.
Love Glimmerglass.
Yeah. And has recently staged John Adams' Dr. Atomic with the Curtis Opera Theater in Philadelphia.
Now here's the thing. I was fine with Dr. Atomic, but I'm still relatively new to opera. So what I did was I cheated a little bit. I went to see it in the theater rather than go to the Met. When I go to the Met, I do the traditional performances. But what you're saying is we're going to have that available here and have a chance to experience that. I think that's wonderful.
But the piece that we're doing is rarely performed.
And what is it?
And it is Virgil Thompson and Gertrude Stein's The Mother of Us All.
Oh, that
which
should be
is
marvelous.
About, based on the life, it's a dramatized story about Susan B. Anthony, who spoke twice on this very stage.
That's true. I read the literature downstairs. I still can't believe it has that kind of history.
And
it's amazing.
RB's approach has been, this year is the centenary for women's suffrage, which began in upstate New York.
Right.
We're working in partnership with the Malay Colony, and we've just finished auditions, and the exciting thing is the reason it's rarely performed is there are 27 named roles.
Yeah.
So for Hudson Hall to be taking that on is
that's
rather
a big
insane.
It's definitely insane, but the value of it when you get to the other end, it's worth the struggle. It really is.
And the way that we've made it work is RB's vision, which is to cast it locally.
Right.
And it really is a piece about equal representation and, relevant and resonant to topical issues of today to the fact that Hudson had a weighted voting system until last year.
Right.
And we are fortunate in that Bard's Professor of Humanities Emeritus, Joan Witalik, is a Gertrude Stein Scholar, and she's come on board as dramaturg.
Right.
But anyways, we've just cast it locally, and you would be amazed at the phenomenal opera singers we have.
Wonderful. When is this going to happen?
It will happen the 2nd and 3rd week in November.
Nice.
And
nice.
RB's whole approach is to make opera accessible, so every rehearsal is open and the public is invited in. We'll be doing a lot of workshops in the community with Perfect 10, with Malay, and RB is going to basically take over the whole building and make it a big salon, inviting you into this opera.
That's wonderful. I'm excited about that. I will be here for that for sure. Okay, so give us a picture of, like, you're going through the summer now, and what have we got in the pipeline? What's coming up?
The thing that's proving to be, I think, something that not only is there a need, but it's something we can do well, is the need to give artists the space to help develop work and then present it in a small house.
Right.
And we are now being approached by any number of companies and artists to do that.
Right.
And Adam and RB themselves are too. But a lot of interest also from New York. There's a string quartet called Ethel. They came up last year for a 2-week residency to develop a new piece that was commissioned by the Ringling Museum in Sarasota called Circus. And while in residence here in Hudson, they came up with an original 70-minute score and got to musically complete. And they're now working, the Ringling Museum in Florida has given them full access to their archives. And we will bring the quartet back in September for a 2-week technical residency to tech what is a big multimedia show with lots of video footage, photographs, and of course the full score and fully staged. So we'll tech the show here. It will then premiere at the Ringling Museum in Sarasota. Return to New York for performances in BAM's Next Wave Festival in 2018.
BAM is
the Brooklyn Academy of Music.
So you have to do it for local folks. I mean, they're familiar. BAM is familiar to those who are in the arts, certainly if they experience in the city, but it is Brooklyn Academy of Music.
Correct.
Okay, good.
And it will go on a 2-year world tour. So again, this is something that we can afford to do. We're providing a real service to the artists. They're top-notch artists. And we're also doing quite a number of local artists, and music and the visual arts are, of course, very strong. Armin Donnellan, who has always done a 4-day jazz workshop for international participants up here in Hudson, and we present the culminating concert, which will happen this August. We're talking to him about creating a 3-day jazz festival in late winter or early spring.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of interest.
A lot of interest in that. I know in New Orleans it's a big one featured every year that they do down in New Orleans. They have Blues and Jazz Fest. I just think it's terribly exciting. I think Hudson Hall has become so important in the development of our entire region. It's got to give you a great deal of pride.
We are. We're really proud, and we can't wait to serve the community and the artists and the audiences.
But service is the name. I just love that whole notion. The joy of doing it is not for yourself, but to serve the community. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, no, and I think that's really our mission, is to provide quality arts that, help catalyze and invigorate and animate the city and the region. We're invigorated. No, we know the joy because we've experienced it today. Again, thanks for inviting us in.
Thank you, Jim.
We appreciate that so very much.
And we hope to see you back, and we'd like to give a big shout out to Mid-Hudson Cable because we are so fortunate to have high-speed broadband in the building.
I tell you, it's wonderful, isn't it?
We're thrilled.
It really is. We want to thank you for joining us today. Tammy Dillon, co-director. She's so modest. I can't believe. She looks great. She does great things. You gotta love her. You gotta love Hudson Hall. This is a marvelous facility. Please enjoy this show. Come back and join us again real soon on Hometown Spotlight.